I'm in the
Yeah?
spot.
Let's do that.
No, not yet.
Should be able to do that.
Try that again?
Should be good, go ahead.
Okay, we'll try that again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 19th, 2023 Town Council meeting. We'll start with a, okay. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you lead us in the pledge, Council Katzkorth?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
I'll entertain a motion to come out of non-public session.
So moved.
Second.
And then second, to leave non-public. Do we do a roll call for this? I don't know why I don't know this by now. All right, on the motion, Council Chiricello?
Yes.
Council Katzkorth?
Yes.
Council Flood?
Yes.
Council Gurnesi?
Yes.
Council McEachern?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion passes, or,
And then I'll make a motion that we seal the minutes indefinitely.
Second.
all right, we have a motion by Councilor Chiricello, seconded by Council McEachern to seal the minutes. On the motion, Council Chiricello?
Yes.
Council Katzkorth?
Yes.
Council Flood?
Yes.
Council Gurnesi?
Yes.
Council McEachern?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, do roll call this evening. Council Chiricello?
Good evening.
Councilor Katzkorth?
Good evening.
Councilor Flood?
Hello.
Councilor Gurnesi?
Good evening.
Council McEachern?
Good evening.
And good evening from the pro tem chair. I'll be chairing this evening. Councilor Foote had a prior engagement. So we will move right into things. Is there a motion to open public forum?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition or abstentions? All right, public forum is open. Please just remember to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Jody Nelson, 7 Nut Meadow Lane. I'm here again today because I know that you will be again visiting town ordinances regarding the regulation of massages, saunas, and other types of baths. I am in support of these ordinances. Number one reason is that if my hair salon, my nail salon are subject to inspections, surprise inspections, and that is for the health and well-being of customers as well as staff that work there. Due to certain loopholes, these establishments do not need to adhere to that type of spot check, and they do not need to allow people inside. Also, I wanted to just bring up a little bit of an uncomfortable topic I think we've been tiptoeing around. And I just wanted to say, if you do a Google search of erotic massage in Derry, one might come to the conclusion that we may have a problem here in Derry. Thank you for your time. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to
Madam
close.
Chair, seeing none, rise online.
Move to close public forum.
Well, either of these two gentlemen want to come forward? No? Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close public forum. On the motion, Council Chiricello?
Yes.
Council Katzkorth?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Council Gurnesi?
Yes.
Council McEachern?
Yep.
And chair votes yes. Public forum is now closed. Next up, we have the consent agenda. I'm going to do these separately since I was not present for the meeting on the 5th, so I'm going to do, if we can split the consent agenda into the first, the minutes, and then I'll read through the other ones.
Madam Chairman, we have a motion that we approve the minutes of September 5th, 2023.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for approving the minutes from September 5th. On that motion, Council Chiricello?
Yes.
Council Katzkorth?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Abstain.
Council Gurnesi?
Yes.
Councilor McEachern?
Yes.
And I also abstain from that. Motion passes 402. The rest of the consent agenda, we have item 23-106, which is Resolution 2023-069 to approve a supplemental appropriation to purchase police department tasers. And there will be a public hearing scheduled for October 3rd. We have 23-107, which is Resolution 2023-072 to accept a gift from the Derry Rail Trail Alliance, and there will be a public hearing on that as well on October 3rd. That is it on the consent agenda.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, the motion by Councilor McEachern, second by Councilor Katsoukaris. On the motion, Councilor Cherichello?
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris? Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Councilor Granessi?
Yes.
Councilor McEachern?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. I do not have anything under the chairman's report, so we can go right to Dave.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple things this evening. As the council is aware, our assessing department performs revaluations of town property every other year. And the reason we do that is to attempt to avoid wild swings in assessments based upon what the market is behaving. It's important to note that, again, revals do not raise additional taxes. What they simply do is they take the taxes which we need to raise from the budget approved by the council, whatever the county delegation approves for the county, and what the school district meeting votes for, and then they redistribute that burden equitably across the community. So we just received the results of our reval from 2022. The law says that the value has to be between 90 and 110% of fair market value. And our fair market value as of 2022, April 1st, was 93.8%. And there's another statistical measure called a coefficient of dispersion, which I think is more important. For example, if you had two properties in town and you had one property assessed at 200% of fair market value and another one assessed at 1% of fair market value, your average is about 99.5%. So that means you're almost at 100% of fair market value. What the coefficient of dispersion does, it measures how close all the properties are bundled towards that median of 93.8. And our rating this year was a 9.3. You need to be less than 20, and the target is 15. So hats off to our assessing crew who did a really good job making sure that they accurately targeted and assessed values, which essentially is the result of analyzing the sales with all of our neighbors pay, buy, and sell properties for. They simply do an analytical tool. So our next revals is scheduled for next year, April 1st of 2024. The other major issue is, remember, the council authorized the submission of a community development block grant for the upper room. It would be a $25,000 planning grant to help those folks secure some professional assistance to do their future planning. That is a town-owned building, and they've been working very closely with our folks at Public Works, particularly Alan Cote. The Community Development Finance Authority did approve that grant, so we'll be moving forward with their studies and their work. And finally, as you all know, unfortunately, Dairy Fest was canceled this past week. There was just too much uncertainty with respect to the hurricane and particularly the winds. They did lay out an option to all the vendors to have it over at Vets Hall instead, but everybody opted to cancel. So on that vein, we'll see you in 2024. That's all I had.
Thank you. All right. Under old business, we have ordinance 2023-006, which is to adopt Chapter 56, regulating massages, saunas, and other types of baths. We already held the public hearing on this at our last meeting, so we just to remind the public as well as ourselves, we had asked, a few councilors had asked for some changes or to review some things with our legal representation, and then brought that back to us, so we are here to vote on those changes. So, councilors, is there any further discussion? Yep, Councilor McEachern.
Yeah. First of all, thanks to the staff for going through some of the items that we had pointed out last time. And it would appear that, the adjustments suggested were made. So thank you for that, David. I do have one thing I'd like to add, and I'm okay with accepting what we have, but I'd like to have an addendum to it because several things that we had brought to the attention. What comes up here now is best add the following statement, to any standard established by administrative rules for licenses issued by the state of New Hampshire. And that's repeated several times in the various things that I had particularly pointed out, like how do you measure what you were going in for, right? So I would like to see that we approve this, but add to it that the Derry Health and Safety Officer creates a checklist for what they're coming in to look at and see, so that it becomes very clear and codified to what we're looking for. And I think that's fair to even the people that own the buildings, because, let's be clear, and Representative Nelson brought it up. We're kind of tiptoeing around this subject here. I think the major concern here is things, and we see it on the news all the time, things like human trafficking and things of that nature that potentially go on, right? We don't know, right? But there are certain things that if you're the health and safety officer, you can view when you go into these places, and if I got a checklist, I can knock these things off and say, okay, this is getting a little edgy here, I'm gonna, bring in the police to investigate this, as opposed to saying, I really don't have anything to go by, I think we need to codify it a little more. And because you can put things in there, like, look, you can't have a full kitchen, right? It's a place of business, okay, it's nice to have a microwave or something, or a coffee pot, but there's no need for a full kitchen in a place of business that's open, from 9 to 9. There's no need for a cot or a bed, right? I mean, we got to get, and these are the things we can look for, but we should codify those so that when you go into a place, you say, look, here's what we're looking for, right? And these are the standards which we need to adhere to. So I like the statement that's in here, but then I'd like to follow it up with staff and have the health and safety people, maybe even have the chief come in and chime in on some things he'd like to have inspected for. That's my recommendation beyond, I'm for this, but I want to do a little more.
Yeah, we certainly can add a checklist with the health inspector will use, so both the applicant and the community knows the issues we have to look out for. The reason we present it to you is there's some long-standing establishments here in town which are very cooperative during the permitting process, the change of use process. What really raises this issue is we have a number of change of use applications for some of these establishments. They don't provide all the paperwork. They're very vague as what they're doing. And these sort of establishments, where there's a lot of human interaction and human contact, in order to safeguard the public health and safety, we think that ought to be inspected looking at these. The state has regulations, however, the state staff is they're very spread out very thinly. And so we just don't see those folks here. So by having a local presence, we're able to make sure that the citizens are safeguarded for their health and safety.
And if we have a checklist to look by, then it's very clear, very concise, and we know exactly what line we're walking on. And if we have to bring something to somebody's attention, there's no question about it.
That's correct.
This is the rule, that's it. And it's fair to everybody. So I will make a motion, move that the council adopt ordinance 2023-06. Oh, I gotta read it, so now I gotta find it. Is it in the beginning or the
The
end?
last page.
It's towards the
No,
back.
it's in the middle. Yeah.
It's too,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Ordinance 23-006, adoption, chapter 56, regulating massage saunas and other types of bars. Whereas section 5.1 of the town charter designates the council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and pursuant to section 6.1, the council shall legislate by ordinance, and whereas the town has seen a need for regulations to protect the health and safety of the community, and whereas resources from the state of New Hampshire are limited, requiring local involvement, and whereas adoption of Chapter 56 will enact certain requirements and standards to safeguard citizens of Derry, now therefore the town of Derry ordains Chapter 56 of the General Code regulating massages, saunas, and other types of baths is hereby adopted as attached. The ordinance shall take effect 30 days from its adoption, adopted September 19th, 2023.
Second. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Geckern, second by Councilor, I was just going to call you Dr. Granessi for some reason, Councilor
Wow.
Granessi. I don't,
Promotion.
on the motion, Councilor Cherichello?
Yes.
Councilor Katsouris?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Councilor Granessi?
I'm going to vote yes. I just want to make a statement that this is definitely we needed this a long time coming, and I'm glad we're doing this. So absolutely, yes.
Councilor McEachern?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, and I agree with Councilor Granessi's
Question
sentiments.
for the chair and David. Do I need to make a motion to have health and safety do an addendum, or we're all set with that?
Now, the instruction we have from the council is to add a checklist right to the ordinance.
Yeah, and so when the checklist is created, we'll come back and then approve the checklist and add it, right?
Well, a suggestion is
I
we'll
just wanna make
attach
sure
it, and we'll let the council know what the checklist is. We'll consult with health, with code, and with police as well.
Right.
Yep.
But do we need to add it at that point in time?
I don't think you have to.
We'll just use it as a tool because it
Right.
it kind of points to it in here. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Exactly.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome.
All right. New business. We have 23-108, Resolution 2023-071 to create an expendable trust fund for canine maintenance and replacement, and Police Chief Violi is presenting. Good evening.
We're sorry you had to wait so long.
We're going to break a record tonight, I think. Thank you, councilors. I appear tonight to ask your consideration establishing an expendable trust fund to receive donations specifically for the purpose of maintaining the police department canine program, which you approved recently. Since you took that action, there has been some interest in the community. Folks are emailing and calling the police department, asking how they can contribute to such a program. So I consulted with the town administrator, and he thought the best way to handle that would be to establish an expendable trust fund for the purpose, two purposes really. Maintain the program, equipment, whatever we might need, and secondly, future replacement costs for an animal if we need to down the road, obviously. So we ask that you consider setting the account up and for those two purposes, and unless specified by the donor, we will split the funds equally between each of those purpose areas, maintenance or replacement, future replacement. If it's specified by the donor that the money be used for one of those two purposes, the money would be allocated to an account for that purpose.
Awesome.
Madam Chair, I think we have to open a public hearing, right?
Nope.
Nope, I think we're all set. We just make the
Are there
motion.
Any
I-
questions or comments from the council?
I have a quick question.
Yes?
Find a dog yet?
No, we're not there yet. We'll get there.
Almost. I keep on seeing on social media other canines in different towns graduating who has a new dog, and
Right.
I'm like, oh, we gotta get, so it's coming.
We'll get there.
Well, if there are no other questions, I'll read the resolution. Is it okay? Anybody else? No? Madam Chair, resolution number 2023-071 to create an expandable trust fund for canine maintenance and replacement, whereas Section 9(6) of the Town Charter empowers the Town Council as the legislative body of the town to create a trust fund pursuant to RSA 3119A, and whereas the Town Council under Resolution 2023-51 has approved a supplemental appropriation for the Police Department Canine Program, and whereas the program has generated significant community interest, including those who may wish to donate funds to support the program, and whereas the two expense categories typically associated with this program include care and maintenance expenses and a replacement fund once a canine is retired, now therefore be it resolved in council that the expendable trust fund, known as the Canine Maintenance and Replacement Trust Fund, is hereby created pursuant to RSA 3119A, with town council designated as agents to expend. Further, that all donations, unless specifically otherwise directed, be allocated equally between maintenance expense and canine replacement. Finally, the town administrator is authorized to accept privately donated gifts, legacies, and devices for the purposes pursuant to RSA 3119A4, adopted September 19th, 2023.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor McEachern, second by Councilor Katsoukaris. On the motion, Councilor Chercello?
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Councilor Granesi?
Yes.
Councilor McEachern?
Yes,
And chair votes yes as well. The motion passes.
Thank you very
6-0.
much.
thank you.
Awesome.
All right, any councilor comments or liaison reports? Yes.
Quick comment about the planning board. Tomorrow night, there's a planning board meeting. It is gonna be it's under the purview that the new firehouse is a public hearing, but it's just basically informational. The planning board will not be voting on that because it's a town. But people from the public can come and ask questions, and the whole plan will be tomorrow night.
Thank you.
So,
When's the public hearing?
tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, the presentation for the new firehouse, planning board.
Thank you.
And
It'll be
before
on
we,
channel 16 now, I think. What's 16? What's that channel now?
16.
16? Thank you.
and before we adjourn, I just wanted to say, I was at McGregor Park on Saturday, so we made the right call. It was pretty windy, but I just want to acknowledge that the POW MIA vigil did go on as planned. They did their vigil, and I was there with Councilor Foote for the closing ceremonies on Saturday, and just a thank you to our veterans organizations for putting that on every year, and they did a great job as usual.
Yes. Madam Chair, if there's no,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
no, don't be sorry.
I mean, we've been here a whole 20 minutes, so. I mean-
Yeah, this will be quick. Most of you, people know my story and why we're here, I'm here, and that is to spread the awareness of mental health and suicide prevention for kids. If you don't know my story or our story and you want to learn a little more about it, we have a presentation coming October 13th at Stockbridge Theater. It'll be a short demonstration, a little show with some speakers, one live performance, and there's been a movie made about us. It's about 40 minutes long. It'll get you up to speed on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to help and how we think it's working. Tickets can be bought at the Stockbridge Theater website, and it's a small fundraiser between us and the Pinkerton Academy's music department. They've been very helpful and supportive of everything we've done. So if you've heard about us and want to know more, it'll be a great night, and I encourage you to come out and check out what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flood. Excellent. Anyone else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, have a good night, everyone.
With Charlie's
Did we